Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Aviation Spotters podcast. I am your host, Colin. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with Nick and talking about his time at Oshkosh and Dock. I thought it was absolutely amazing that he had all that access at Oshkosh, and especially what he said at the very end is just be unique and be yourself. I still hold true to those words, and I think about them every time I go out to the airport. Anyways, some other announcements on the Aviation Spotters podcast. I am going to be moving the show to every 2 weeks due to the fact that there is some lower viewership, and it's just a little easier for me right now not having to worry about an episode every week, and the editing does take a while with these longer episodes, which I am aiming for. So every first and third Wednesday of each month, there'll be a new episode of the Aviation Spotters podcast. And starting with that is my good friend from Draper, Utah, Mr. Aaron Rumfallo. Aaron, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Colin, how are you?
I'm great, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Did I pronounce your last name right, by the way?
It was so close. It's Rumfallo.
Rumfallo. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make a note of that so I don't screw that up again.
That's right. It's Italian, so just, a lot of Italian names are follow or LOO or LO, so yeah,
Okay.
Rumfallo.
All right, got it. Anyway, so from Draper, Utah, Mr. Aaron Rumfellow. All right.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, first, I also want to say that you designed the Aviation Spotters podcast logo that everybody sees when I do a social media update, so I thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you making that offer to me, and I couldn't pass it up.
Cool. Yeah. No, it was fun to do.
Yeah, it looked really good, and it came out pretty well, and I really do thank you for it.
Absolutely.
Anyway, man, let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from, and how you got into aviation?
Well, so I was born and raised in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. I now live in Draper, Utah, which is the suburb south of Salt Lake City. I was born and raised here in Utah. Got into aviation at a very young age. Of course, most people, it's either their parents or a relative, starts taking them to air shows when they're little kids. And my story is no different. My father, my older brother, Tony, my older sister, Lisa, we're all kind of av geeks. And, so going to air shows as kids, we'd go out to Salt Lake International Airport back in the day when they had, an observation area, which was awesome, and just watch airplanes come in. I used to use our, super old VHS, over the shoulder video camera.
Wow.
And way back in the day, we're talking like late 80s, early 90s.
Man.
I used to videotape, aircraft coming in. That's kind of how it really started. I didn't move into, stills and, photography, for several years after that. But, those were some great memories and some great air shows. There used to be so many more air shows when I was younger. At so many, the variety, the different airfields and airports was crazy when I was younger. Seems to just be getting worse the older I get, but there's still great shows going on.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And I remember you guys posted a picture of a Delta L1011.
Yep.
That's just one of my airplanes that I have always wanted to see. And this and that Delta widget paint job just looked fantastic, I think.
Yeah, amazing, man. And I used to go catch those Delta L1011s out of Salt Lake, in and out of Salt Lake all the time. I loved it. I mean, I can remember, standing on the top of my Jeep when I was a teenager, getting L1011s coming in and out of Salt Lake City. Yeah, I miss the L1011. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't fly anymore that you probably have some photos and videos of, and
Yeah.
speaking for not just me, but for a lot of other people, if you could find those videos from back in the day, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would really, really like to enjoy that.
I know. I know where some of the videos are. I need to break out the old VHS to DVD and then to digital. Some kind of device contraption
Yeah.
that'll do all that. But yeah, I know. I know. I need to find those. I'm sure I sound like an idiot on there, but what the hell? I was spotting airplanes.
Yeah, and airplanes that probably don't no longer exist anymore either, for that
That's
matter.
it's so true, and all the airlines and liveries that no longer exist. The old TWA. Um,
Oh man.
I mean, Salt Lake City had quite a few unique airliners come in and out. It's not like a big international hub like LAX or anything like that, but there was a lot of cool stuff. DC-10s. I mean, I remember as a kid, and this is when I was too young to even use a video camera or a camera, but I can remember going out to the observation area at Salt Lake International Airport and watching Western Airlines
Oh
DC-10s
my.
and 727s and 737-200s, and it was crazy. And we're talking before hush kits, so it
Oh,
was pretty awesome.
the good old days, man. That would have been absolutely epic to see right now.
Yeah,
Where were those observation areas at Salt Lake? Because I've been down to Salt Lake a few times, and it's a harder airport to spot at than most people think.
it is. It's kind of a pain. But the observation area, it was actually pretty nice. They had some speakers that were connected to the tower frequency, and
Okay,
it would
cool.
broadcast 24 hours a day out there in the parking lot. And yeah, it was actually a really cool setup. And there was a grassy area with some hills and some picnic tables. So they really did a good job um, setting it up. But it was just. Let's see here. Okay, so Salt Lake International has three main runways. They have four runways
Yeah.
technically. It is a small crosswind runway, but the three main runways. It was just next to the approach end of 3-4 right on Salt Lake
And
International. So
that's the north facing runway.
yeah, it's a north-facing runway, and so it was on the south side of the field. If you Google Map it, you can see where 3-4 right is on the south end, and now it's just full of a bunch of construction stuff, and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's been shut down ever since 9/11, so
Uh,
we can thank all that 9/11 and all that garbage for ruining some of these great observation areas that have been shut down.
yeah, I remember back in the day too. You just go through security without a boarding pass too, and
Oh, hell
just
yeah.
chill in the airport. My dad and I did that back in Boise when
Yep.
like 2000, 1999,
Yeah,
and that was always fun to do.
I know.
But
Yeah, definitely.
anyway, man. So you've been doing this stuff since the late '80s, early '90s,
Yeah.
and so I'm assuming you consider Salt Lake City International as your home airport, then, right?
Yeah, Salt Lake City International, and then Hill Air Force Base, which is just about 30 minutes north of Salt Lake International Airport. And Hill Air Force Base, is known for, the 388 fighter wing. They
Mm-hmm.
just transitioned to all F-35 now. They used to fly F-16 Vipers.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I've been, going up to Hill, spotting there a lot. So I guess you could say, military Hill Air Force Base is my home base, and then
Yeah.
Salt Lake International for commercial. And the Guard actually has some KC-135s at Salt Lake International, so that's always cool to see.
Yeah, those guys are really cool. I mean, they come up to Boise every so often. And, the Idaho Air Guard and the Utah Air Guard just has an amazing relationship with the tanker and the A-10. I mean, I don't think there's another National Guard unit or two National Guard units in the country has a better relationship than those two.
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually going to mention that later on in the podcast if we got to it. But I actually went up on a KC-135 refueling mission where we did air-to-air refueling with A-10s from Idaho, the 124th. So
God,
that was pretty badass.
that's goals. That is goals. That is goals for me.
Yeah.
Um, Well, what other hobbies do you have? I know of one because you are a host on the Ramp Check
That's
podcast.
right. That's right. Yeah, myself and my two other brothers, my older brother, younger brother, we started the Ramp Check podcast over a year ago. We're almost 60 episodes in. We have a lot of fun doing that with the guests, and that's why, when you started, this podcast, I was all over it because I was like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, I support this kind of stuff. I support aviation. And when I saw Aviation Spotters podcast, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. So it's really cool. So, yeah, I do that. I do all the graphic design work for all the Ramp Check stuff. If people know the Ramp Check brand, they know we do all kinds of, products and
Hmm.
whatever. But yeah, I do that. We're slowly building that into into a business that's taken more and more of our time. We've got some other products that aren't related with like T-shirts or stickers or anything that we're working on too. So got that, and of course, my family. My amazing wife. I love her to death, and I've got a 2-year-old son who's just crazy as hell, but he's just awesome. I love that he's nuts.
Yeah.
And I've got some stepdaughters and two older daughters and a younger son as well. So it's great. I love music, love going to the mountains. I love astronomy too. I've done a little bit of
Oh, really?
astrophotography.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but I'd say some of my most memorable moments of astrophotography is back in 1997 when Comet Hellbop cruised by the Earth. It was such a huge, bright comet. It was so much fun to take pictures of. So I kind of dabble in that a little bit.
Yeah, I love astronomy. I actually did a space camp back in 2012 at NASA
Oh,
Ames,
nice.
I was I was in my senior year of high school, and we got to go down there, and actually got to fly the 747 simulator they have
Oh,
down
that's
there,
awesome.
which like full motion everything. And I don't know if you've seen the show MythBusters at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So there's this one episode where they have to land a plane and they don't know how to fly one, right?
Okay.
And it's like you get help from the tower and stuff like that to talk you down and land. I flew in that exact same cockpit as the
Oh,
MythBusters did,
that's cool.
which was that's probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. And
Yeah.
just being down at NASA Ames, rubbing shoulders with legitimate rocket
Yeah,
scientists.
seriously, man. You're the
And
man.
when I was down there, this is right 2 weeks before the Curiosity rover
Oh,
landing.
okay.
So everybody was. It was all about the 7 minutes of
Yep.
terror. It was just curiosity this and curiosity
Yep.
that, and it was absolutely incredible to be a part of that because they actually had the mock-up. They did all the wind tunnel design work there for the uh, the entry vehicle.
Oh.
So it had the whole entire because NASA Ames is like the wind tunnel capital of the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. They have the world's largest wind tunnel
Mm.
there. They actually tested, if I think I'm right in saying, I think so, but they actually tested a scale model of the
Oh,
YF-12
really? No, no way. Oh,
back,
that's
yeah,
cool.
in their wind tunnel, and they had a 1/8 scale shuttle that they tested in there
Oh,
also.
that's awesome.
So it's really cool to see and be a part of that. But have you got any shots of the comet that's been over the U.S.
Yeah,
recently?
so Comet Knowise right now is burning. Well, I guess I should say melting brightly over a lot of the world, and it's visible in the northern hemisphere right now, right after the sun goes down in the evening.
Okay.
I was actually out by Salt Lake International Airport in the Great Salt Lake last night, and I got eaten up by mosquitoes trying to take photos of Comet Knowise. But yeah, Comet Knowise, it's a naked eye object right now. If you get out of the city lights, you can actually you can see it's got a nice, beautiful long tail. If you have binoculars or zoom lens on your camera or a telescope, you can see the coma. It's really impressive. Um,
It really
it's
is.
yeah. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it personally, but I've seen a lot of other
Yeah,
photos, and my
yeah.
gosh, holy
It's
crap!
beautiful. So yeah, it's going to be visible for at least as far as I know, for the next week or so in the evening in the northern hemisphere, and then I'm not sure. I'd have to check the sky maps to see where it's going to be after that. But yeah, it's a 1.6 magnitude right now. And those that are into astronomy or anything like that, it's a pretty bright object for comet just passing through.
Yeah. Well, if you hopefully once this episode
Yeah,
airs,
yeah,
people will have some decent photos of it.
that's true.
That's a great lead-in to the next question: is what type of camera do you have then?
Yeah, so I have a Canon 7D Mark II that I use for 90% of everything that I do. I love that camera just because it has a lot of the capability of like the EOS 1D,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot less expensive, and it's a great camera, and that's the whole reason why I went with that. Just save on some costs. I do have an older 1D. It's a Mark III, so it has a small sensor. It's like 11 megapixels or whatever. I kind of use that as
Yeah.
backup, and but I've always shot Canon. I've always loved Canon. I know Canon like the back of my hand. To me, it's the most user-friendly setup. Canon's always been extremely reliable for me, and a lot of people that use Canon. I know you have the 5D Mark IV,
Yeah, I
which is
transitioned from
awesome.
Pentax and when I transitioned from my Pentax, I have never touched a Canon
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
I've rarely even used my dad's old
Oh
Nikon,
wow.
so it was like it was a big deal for me to switch just everything
Yeah,
over. But like you said, just user friendly is, within the first couple weeks, I was pretty proficient at it, and now like I know that camera really
yeah.
really well.
Yeah, and I like the Canons too. How a lot of the upper end, higher end amateur to mid pro to pro. I like how you can customize a lot of the settings, like
Yeah,
focus tracking and different things like that. It really comes in handy, especially when you're shooting military aviation or anything like that. But so most of the time I have that 7D Mark II out. Love the camera. It is a crop sensor. I do want to get a full frame camera here in the near future, and we can talk about that in a minute or whatever. But it's a great camera. I've always had a lot of success with it. It's fast. It shoots 10 frames a second. The
dang.
focus on it is basically the same as the EOS 1D, a couple of generations ago. Obviously, the 7D Mark II has been out a little while. Um, but my main lens that I shoot with is the Sigma 150 to 600 Sport, which I've
Okay.
had for almost 2 years now. And I love the lens. I can't say anything negative. Well, I mean, it does weigh a ton.
Yeah, but I say Sigma lenses are quite heavy, and it's the
Yeah,
metal one
it
also, isn't
is.
it?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's funny is I have the old 50 to
Uh-huh.
500, the old metal
Yep.
frame one, and that the weight of that lens itself, just alone, weighs the same as my current setup with the
Oh
laser
yeah.
body.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just,
crazy.
like it's so much nicer to carry the Canon around because it's so much lighter.
Yeah.
But they're built like they are built like
That
tanks
and
though.
and that's the reason why I went with the Sport was because I like that it's weather sealed. It's really durable. I've actually tripped and fallen not directly on it, but it kind of saved my my hands from going in the dirt, and it's tough, man. It's a great camera, a great lens. So, and it's sharp too. I was looking at the 60, to 600, but everything in my research, I really didn't need the 60. This lens, I just bought it just to spot aircraft in the sky. So
Yeah.
150 is, plenty good. 150 to 6 is a great range.
Yeah, it's like you don't need that extra. You don't spend the extra money if you don't have
Right.
to. And I can attest to a Sigma
Yeah.
lens being helpful in that
Yeah.
situation because uh, in March of last year, I was at the canyon and it was pretty windy. So everybody is stepping back from the rim because it just howls through there and it's absolutely
Uh-huh.
miserable. And we had some F-16s come over the ridge. So we all run up and I slipped on a
Yeah.
rock and I had to use the handle as like an ice pick to keep myself from falling down into the
Exactly.
canyon.
Yeah.
Luckily, I stopped myself and I, grabbed a solid rock,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah.
But there are some battle scars on that lens, and I'll just say I actually have it
Oh,
on video,
nice. Nice.
um, which I still cringe at that moment because I couldn't know if I pulled the
Yeah.
wrong rock, it would
Oh,
have been
that's
bad.
scary, man. Damn.
But yeah, oh no, it was. Trust me, I didn't get close to that rim the
Yeah,
rest of the
I'm
day.
sure.
I was, yeah, but no, and it still worked
Yeah,
after that.
they're
Thank
tough
God.
lenses. They're great. I wish it was a little bit faster. I mean, it's 6.3, but 5.6
Yeah,
even would have been a little bit better. But it is what it is. Most of what we do is, there's plenty of light anyway.
yeah. It's like the only time you're going low aperture is when it's really
Yeah,
dark out, but we're not going to
right,
need that out here.
right.
Speaking of shooting aircraft, what is your favorite airplane to spot?
Oh man, that is such a tough one because my love of aviation just extends beyond everything. Military, commercial. I would.
Well, let's break up the question. How about your favorite civilian aircraft and then your favorite military aircraft? Because
There
I
you
know you
go.
guys you like
Yes,
both.
yes, that is very true. Thank you. You helped me out there. So I've got to say, and this actually changes from time to time, but I've got to say my favorite aircraft to spot right now is the F-15. It really is. I love the F-35s and the F-22s and F-16, all these, newer jets, but there's just something about the mean F-15, and I don't care if it's an Eagle or a Strike Eagle. Either if it's an F-15, I love shooting it. They're big. They have a perfect air-to-air record. The F-15E can
Mm-hmm.
just carry so much ordnance, and I, I just
Oh
I
yeah.
love spotting the F-15 loud. Down at Nellis, those F-15s that are always flexing. You get a lot of C models and a lot of E models out of Nellis, and it's just I'm always excited to see an F-15.
I agree. I'm always excited to see an F-15 as well, and they are one of my favorite airplanes to
Yeah,
spot, as I was very much given a lot of
I
crap
know your
for
your your
after
fir-
I
your
said the
first episode.
antennas.
You forgot to even mention the F-15.
Yeah, I got some flack for that one from a lot of people over at
That's
Mountain
funny.
Home. There was, yeah, they gave me a hard time about it, but yes, I do agree. And the Eagles, I go out there and I see
Yeah.
them launch. I can see my rear view mirror of my
Oh
car
yeah.
shaking when they light the
Yeah.
cans out there, and it's amazing. I love it. And the Strike Eagles at Nellis flex a little bit harder than anything else
Yeah, they
out there
do.
too.
I think you're right on that one.
Oh yeah, I got some of my favorite photos are Strike Eagle photos out there. So, but yeah, shout out to Strike Eagle community guys. You
Yeah,
guys are
I
awesome.
agree. I agree. Okay, so civilian, it's definitely the 747. I've loved the 747 for ever since I was a little kid. Whenever we'd go on vacation to California, Disneyland or whatever, I knew we were in the area of LA, and I knew LA always had heavies like
Yeah.
that because Salt Lake did not. And I was always looking out for the 747s. And
Oh yeah, that's the
yeah, I
same with
mean,
me.
on my phone, my flight tracker that I use, I have a filter to alert me if there's a 747 flying in the area, just so I can go out and see it go over. Even at altitude. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely 747. Queen of the skies, never gets old. It's sad to hear recently that Boeing is going to end production, of the 747. Gosh, over 50 years of production, man, and they're finally going to
50
have to hang it
years.
up. But Yeah, impressive.
Well, I don't know if you heard today, but we're recording this on July 7th, correction, July 16th. And I don't know if you heard, but British Airways just announced that they are, as of effective immediately, retiring all remaining
I
47s in
know.
their fleet.
I did see that earlier today, and a lot of people are posting about it on Instagram, and it's over.
Yeah,
A lot of aviation news sites, and yeah, it's sad to see that, man. I mean, a lot of the 747 fleet is being retired, the 400s, and older, but it'll live on for decades, though, in the cargo market, which at least we get that.
absolutely. Yeah, and the Dash 8 passengers too, with
That's
hopefully
right.
Korean Air once they start rebounding,
Yep.
Air China,
And
and
Lufthansa.
Lufthansa. So hopefully once they start rebounding, I mean, there'll still be a chance, but won't be a 400 or something like that. But a 747 is still a
Absolutely. I
747.
agree. I think the 747-100 all the way up to the Dash 8 Intercontinental or Freighter, they're all beautiful. I love them
They
all.
absolutely are. Thank you,
That's
Joe Sutter.
right.
But we had some 747s in Boise for the deployment for the 124th, and we
Oh,
had
wow.
four of them. Yeah, and one came in before dawn. It was, I think, 5 in the morning when it came in, and I went up to the parking garage and still got it landing because I will not miss a
Yeah.
747 in
Oh,
Boise
yeah.
ever. It's just like one of those things. It's like one of those airplanes that is on my drop everything and go spot list. It's a 747. Anything
Yeah.
Russian built. I mean, God, anything Russian built comes in here,
Yeah.
I'm down there immediately. It's like
Right.
I'm not gonna miss that. Or like a big, really heavy wide body. And it's just like in Boise, we rarely get wide bodies. It's anytime you see something
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
I'm all
Yeah.
for.
Same here, man. Yeah. Salt Lake gets, MD-10s and MD-11s and 767s and those are the wide bodies that are always in and out, on a regular basis. And with all this COVID
Yeah,
stuff, there's actually been quite a few, repatriation flights. So caught some Delta 777s, which are all going to be retired later this year. Um, uh, you
yes,
know, uh, Fiji Airways, their brand new A350, which was beautiful. So yeah, Salt Lake's kind of off and on with heavies.
yeah. And you guys got the
That's
Dreamlifter
right. I
too
was actually just
recently.
going to mention that, and I missed it. I was busy. I couldn't do it. I was so mad.
Oh,
But one of these days, I hope I
yeah.
catch that.
I remember seeing that, and I texted a mutual friend of ours down in Salt Lake. I'm going, dude, is the Dreamlifter really going to
Yeah,
Salt Lake? Is this a glitch? And well, it
yeah,
actually showed up, it's absolutely amazing to see. And yeah, you guys got a lot of cool stuff too because of the
right.
LDS Church also bringing
Yeah,
home their missionaries, with the COVID and all
yeah.
that. So that's where those
Most of
recreation
those
flights
were
happened.
for all those LDS missionaries getting coming back to their coming back to
Yeah.
Utah, man.
Hopefully they all came back
Yeah.
healthy
Oh
too.
yeah.
I don't wish, trust me, I don't wish COVID or this anything about anybody. So I hope they all came back
Sure.
healthy, and hopefully they can go back and
Yeah.
do their thing
Definitely.
also after it's all over with.
Definitely.
So do you even have a least favorite airplane in general, or
I
do you
don't know. I mean,
like it all?
I love it all. I mean, a little Cessna 152 or a 172 doesn't really inspire much, um, which is funny
Yeah,
because, anybody that wants a career to be a pilot, that's where you start. So, you know,
exactly. Yeah, you
that's
start with the
right.
Cessna.
So, you can't hate on them too much. But, I mean, if
No.
if I were to say, when you say what's your least favorite aircraft to spot, my first thought is, okay, well, if you looked at all my photos that I've taken over God, I'm getting so old now, over the decades, I can actually say decades now,
Wow.
you'd probably see almost no like Cessna 152s or 172s or, some basic single, engine general aviation. I do like some small single engine, like, you get those, Piper Cubs with the huge Tundra tires, and those just,
Oh
you
yeah.
know awesome, bush planes and whatever. But,
Yeah,
those are
those
cool.
are
And I
always
actually
cool
have
to see.
a really funny story. So there was a guy, I
Yeah.
was spotting out there's a small airport just south of Salt Lake International Airport. It's called Salt Lake Regional. It used to be called Salt Lake City Airport number 2. Um, yeah, I know.
Huh.
It's just this. Yeah, I know.
Original
They
name.
really, worked hard on that one. Um, but just a single runway, a lot of general aviation. The Utah Army National Guard actually has Apaches and Blackhawks out there, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you guys took you
Yeah,
took the old
I
Idaho
know.
Apaches, so yeah, that's not cool.
Has the
Not cool.
markings and everything.
Oh God, I remember the last flight of those Idaho Apaches. I remember
Oh,
I
were
was
you?
actually working, and the five of them flew across the ramp for the sundown. I was going, ugh. And I missed him so much. We actually one of my old neighbors used to
Oh,
be
cool.
a Apache pilot, like really, like right next door. So they used to fly over
Oh,
his house
nice.
all the time. So I used to see Apaches literally over my house all the time because like one of their higher
Oh,
ups
that's
used to live
cool.
next door to me. And there's actually a really cool
No, no,
story.
you're
Sorry
good.
to interrupt your story, but in 2002,
Uh-huh.
when I was in second grade, we had the elementary school I was at had this gargantuan field, and it was on I was on
Uh-huh.
kind of on a plateau. Well, one of the teachers, her husband was a warrant
Okay.
was a warrant officer, and landed 2 Apaches on the
Oh,
last day of
wow.
school on the field. And I remember because I was
Yeah.
into aviation at the time, right? And the teachers are like, "Hey, Colin, come to the window, check this out." And I look out, here come 2 Apaches just landing right on the
Oh
field. I'm
my
going like, "Holy
gosh.
crap,
Yeah.
this is the greatest thing ever!" Yeah, we got to climb all in them and all that, and like it was the best last day of school ever.
Perfect.
Just it's like they're
Oh
Apache
yeah.
helicopters
Yep.
at an
Oh yeah.
elementary school
Yeah.
in the
Oh yeah.
soccer field.
And as a
It
young
was
ad geek, man, that's like you can't beat that. That's perfect.
no, it was awesome, man. It was just like it's just like like those sense of like the little kids when they see something
Uh-huh.
amazing for the first time, just that
Yeah.
that that look they get.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I
I
had.
probably would have reacted the exact same way.
Yeah. But anyway, back to
Oh
your
no,
story
no,
before I
you're good,
rudely
man.
interrupted
You're
you.
good. So anyway, I was out spotting at this airport, and that's where those former Idaho Apaches are. Um, yeah.
Yeah, don't have to rub it in.
And there was Super Cub with huge Tundra tires. I mean, they ginormous, and he's flying in the pattern,
Yeah.
and his final trip around the pattern, he came in, he was turning final, and I was taking shots of him, whatever, and I downloaded the images that night, and I was going through them, and that dude, he flipped me off on his final approach. Yeah, he flipped me off, and I was
No.
like, "What the hell is this?" As and I was thinking, maybe he's like, cheating on his wife or something, and his whoever he's hooking up with in West Jordan, he didn't want to he didn't want to let anybody know he was going into West Jordan
Yeah.
that day. But I don't know, man. I
Yeah.
was shocked, man. I was like, geez, what a dick, man. Jeez.
Dude, I've had some fighter pilots at Nellis do that to me. But I
Yeah,
think they're just
yeah. Well,
having fun
this
or
was a
whatever.
grumpy old
You
man.
know.
You could tell
Oh, it was.
he was like,
Oh,
F you, dude. And I was like, come on. But yeah, I know
yeah.
what you're talking about with military guys, man. They like to mess with you. It's funny.
Oh yeah. But man, that's when you gotta go to the dude's hangar and just make a gargantuan poster and just like put
Yeah.
on his door, be like,
Yeah,
hey, I know
seriously.
you.
That's funny.
But yeah. Well, kind of keeping on that same page is what's the rarest plane you have ever
Oh, the
spotted?
rarest plane. Well, one comes to mind, and it's because there's only one in existence in the world. It still flies. It's still used actually quite extensively. Is the AN 225, and this was all the way back in 2003 in Arizona when I was living in Arizona. and it was delivering this huge like electrical transformer thing to one of the companies down there, one of the power companies, and it was absolutely incredible to see. I was actually working the ramp at the time, so I had all the inside scoop. I stayed all night. It came in overnight. I helped park it. I toured it that night, everything, and then the next day, saw
Wow.
them offload everything and fuel it. And I actually dumped the lavs on that thing, so I have
No way.
Russian crap all. No, I'm just kidding, but
Wow.
yeah, no, I did dump the lavs though on that
How
thing. It
was
was so
this?
funny.
As a
Uh-huh.
person who does work on the ramp, I'm very curious on how does the lab dump
You
on the
know,
world's
it
largest
really isn't
airplane?
any different than anything else. It's just you hook up the hose, man, and you pull the valve, and that's pretty much it. Yes,
And you pray nothing
you're
falls
like, I
out.
hope that Russian connector is compatible. Yeah,
Soviet
Soviet. That's
design
sure.
connector, I
This
should
was
say.
designed way back when the Soviet Union was together. So you're right. But yeah, no, it was just like any other airplane, really. It was nothing special, but I
Okay.
thought it was funny though that I got lab duty that day.
Hey, that's actually really unique to say that you've dumped the lab on the largest
Yeah,
aircraft in the world. Not a
yeah,
lot of people
yeah.
can say that.
And really like one of the rarest aircraft ever because they only built and completed one. They have one that's unfinished, that's just sitting in a hangar, but it's nowhere near being completed.
Hmm.
But yeah, just
Yeah. Way
yeah,
too
I
expensive,
know.
probably, also.
So I would have to say, the AN 225 is probably the rarest, just because it's there's only one in existence. Um, and
Yeah.
that was really a treat. And got to watch it, take off, and I've got video of it and photos, and I've posted some on Instagram of some of the shots that I got on the ramp, but yeah, that thing is massive. It's so impressive.
What's the cockpit like on it?
It's just that old school Russian, green. When I saw it back in 2003, I mean, there's no glass in it at all.
Yeah.
It's just all analog, and those Russians, man, they love those yokes that are like they're like those like handlebars on Harleys. It seems like you're like reaching like 4 feet each direction to
Wow.
grab the yoke. But yeah, but huge though. I mean, a lot like a C5 Galaxy.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been in the cockpit of
Yeah.
a C5 or or some of these listeners have, but lots of room, lots of gauges though, and it's all old school aviation in there.
Yeah. I've seen some pictures and it just looks just gargantuan just because of the size of the airplane. But if you think about it,
It is.
it's like literally what so like a flight engineer and the two pilots and that's still it. It's
Yeah, I know.
it's amazing. It's like you put in perspective. That's the same thing the old 727s flew on, and
Yeah.
doing the exact same
Oh
thing with the
yeah.
AN 225.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
speaking of Russian built aircraft, did you get a picture of that Ukrainian Ilyushin 76 when it visited Salt Lake a few years ago?
I did not. Again, I was busy and wasn't able to go down there. But through our contacts through Ramp Check, there's an airport ops person that actually sent us a few photos of it. So
Okay.
at least we got to see a couple photos of it. But I would have loved to have seen that. That would
Yeah.
have been really cool.
Luckily, our mutual friend did also, and he actually got his published in Combat Aircraft, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
So
Exactly.
we'll talk about
Yeah,
that when he comes on.
definitely.
So, um, yeah, that's God. I would love to see that Antonov one day. One day, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
such a absolutely useful tool in aviation that that airplane's going to fly until
yeah,
it can't literally be flown anymore. I mean, just look
yeah,
at some of this other Soviet Russian built transport airplanes like the Antonov 22, the world's largest turboprop. The thing is like
yeah.
60 years old and it's still going strong.
I
So it's just
know.
like they still fly the AN-12s, those the
Yeah.
mini version of that, and
Hmm.
they'll still fly, and like
Yeah,
this
no,
thing's
they just they just did a bunch of upgrades on the 225 as well. So,
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, because they literally brought it out of upgrade to help ship PPE throughout the world.
yep, yeah, that's right.
I mean, I don't think there's a better aircraft to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could probably, fly all over and just, you know, not have to replenish your supply. You just unload some huge pallets and
Yeah,
go to the next destination and do it like 10 times.
there's a photo I saw of it in a Toronto spotters group that I'm in, and there
Hmm.
weren't pallets; they were straight boxes, and they
Oh yeah.
stacked the
Yeah.
boxes like literally from the nose to the tail, and they had these is this like belt loaders and all this other stuff. I'm going like this straight box. I'm like, firstly, how long did that thing take to stack?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like,
Oh
man,
my
but
gosh. Could imagine.
you know, also with that being the one of the rarest airplanes in the world, I believe it's also one of the most photographed
Yeah,
airplanes in the world as well. Just because when it
I'm
comes to
sure.
town, everybody's out there. Even if you're not into aviation, everybody
Right.
goes out there to see it. It's like Air Force
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. I guess in the sense of, a rare aircraft,
Yeah, one build.
it's
It's the only one in existence. But
yeah, yeah, exactly in that sense. But yeah, it's one of the most popular photographed, that's for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And when I saw it, it was in its really old school livery. It's not
Oh,
this
okay.
new nice, yellow and blue and everything like it is now. It was, pretty old school. It almost looked like from the old, Soviet Union space race days.
Yeah. Well, it was designed to carry the Buran shuttle.
Uh-huh, that's right. Yeah.
Which also, if anybody wants to go on a whole different rabbit hole, go look up the Buran program and then
Yeah.
go look at the pictures of the two orbiters that weren't finished and they're currently abandoned
Hmm.
in Kazakhstan, and that will blow your mind. But
Yeah,
the
very
space
true.
shuttle copy. But yeah, go look up Buran, and then you can look up the Antonov as well and how they were made for each other.
Yep.
But anyway, so let's kind of move it on. I actually
Yeah.
didn't send you this question, but what is your favorite event and/or location outside of general airport spotting to do?
Oh, easy red flag down at Nellis.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's probably the most common answer to that question, but I mean, you can't beat a red flag, and and they typically hold three a year. You can't beat it. I mean that's really. I mean, there's nothing else I can say beyond that. If you have never been, whoever's listening, if you've never been to a red flag, you need to do it. I mean, it's just jet after jet after. I mean, fighter jets, tankers, just you name it, man. It's just a constant launch and recovery. Two times a day, and it's really impressive.
Absolutely agree with you on that. And it's not
Yeah,
just with the aviation portion, it's just with the people aspect as well.
I
And if
agree.
I
Yeah,
recall, you actually did a quick interview with me on your guys' podcast back in 2000, March of 2019, I recall, when I met
yeah,
you guys down there. And I just kind of
you.
want to
Yeah, you're right.
want to reiterate what I said with you guys, and the listener can go look up their episode, your guys' episode with this. But
Yeah.
Red Flag is such a great event to attend, not just because of the aircraft, but because of all the people that attend. You get people from all around the world. You get people from
Hmm.
Asia and Europe and South America and
Hmm.
all these other places, and it's literally one place on Earth where every single person who's interested in aviation can go out and meet the same person and talk about the same stuff, but
Yeah.
you never met them in your life.
Yeah.
It's just a great place where people can meet and just geek out and just be
It,
themselves.
it's so true. It's so true. It's a blast. And I mean it's so much fun because you're just basically sitting on the side of a highway and
Yep.
you're just
Yep.
hanging out with people, talking cameras, talking aviation, and then you get the launches and the recoveries, man, and it's so much fun. And trying to find that sweet spot of oh, I want to catch them at this angle or this lighting or whatever. The nice thing about the red flags. Early on in the year, is you get that amazing evening lighting on the
Yeah.
on the recovery in the early evening. That's incredible.
And then the
I
summer
know
flags,
us.
you're gonna melt your Munch your face off.
Exactly. Burning a
They,
tank of gas, just idling your car to stay
yeah,
cold.
going through 2 gallons of water every hour.
Yeah, so
Now, it's
true.
also, you're going to get the odd garbage truck going past, too, taking everything out to the landfill, which always smells delicious.
Yeah.
And who's ever been to Red Flag listening to this, you know exactly what I mean.
Oh yeah, they know
Um,
exactly.
or just spot at Nelson in general. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
yeah,
So
but there's
true.
also, I do want to do an episode on like kind of like Nellis spotting, like the do's and don'ts. I mean, you see a
Yeah,
lot of people in the group that we're in, they park certain ways, and it's
yeah,
remember you got to remember you are on a legitimate highway. Like,
right.
cars are screaming past you, and
Yeah,
there have been accidents. Like,
yeah.
people have pulled out and got hit by cars.
Yep.
And so I do want to do an episode on kind of on that, like the etiquette and protocol. Maybe like a bonus episode or something like that.
Right. Yeah, it's
I
a
would
good
like
idea.
I would like to have it up before 21-1
Yeah,
goal,
yeah.
because 23 is hopefully on. So,
Right.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good idea. I mean, it's like, us spotters and we have to be responsible in these locations that we love to shoot at,
absolutely,
because
absolutely.
if we screw it up, somebody's, messing around, not doing what they're supposed to, not paying attention, then, you get these politicians and whoever, then they'll start shutting stuff like that down and saying no more parking on the highway and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, that would just be ridiculous.
Yep,
So,
and you cannot sit on the base side of the fence, and they
right.
will come right after you. So literally, you
Yep.
have
Yep.
one spot. It actually you can't go behind the fence either, because that's property of the Speedway,
Uh-huh.
Las
Right.
Vegas Speedway. Then you have the public road you can sit on, and then across from that is Nellis Air Force Base, which is you can't. So literally, you have
Right.
one location to go to. So yeah,
I
that is
know.
it.
Yeah.
But well, anyway, man, let's. You already told us one story about the dude flipping you the bird in this Cub. What else do you have? Do you have anything else interesting you want to add?
Well, so, I mean, just some, experiences, I mean, that I've had, and some
Yeah.
opportunities that I've had, being around aviation and working in aviation. And, I have to say a couple highlights. Back in 2014, down in Tucson, Arizona, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base was having their air show, and I was down there for the media day before. A lot of spotters may not know that when there's an air show that goes on, things start happening several days ahead of time. They may know, people may know about, the arrivals and all those things, but during all those days, there's all kinds of media events. Because the air show promoters and the bases, they want to get it out to as many people as possible to come participate and to come see how amazing our, military is, or, whoever is performing, on the civilian side, whatever. Um, but I was down in 2014. I was down in Tucson, Arizona, and I was at a media event, and just totally lucky, I was able to go up and fly with Chuck Aaron in the Red Bull BO 105.
Oh wow.
And I was blown away because I had when I showed up to this event, I had no idea that it was going to turn out like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, you're next. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Are you
Like, wait,
serious?
what?
Yeah, the legend, like Chuck Aaron and the Red Bull, aerobatics in a helicopter. Um, that, I mean, that was probably, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, we were doing loops and barrel rolls and everything in that over the desert of southern Arizona by Tucson.
God.
But, that's what's so fun about spotting and, you know, having pride in it too. Like, it's not just something, it's like, whatever, I'm gonna take pictures or whatever, and if I get a cool one, great. If not, whatever. I mean, when you really take pride, in spotting, and you really want to bring out that aircraft you're taking photos of, you know you really spend a lot of time, um around these events and around, the people that fly these aircraft. And like you said, at during Red Flag, everybody that shows up, it's so cool to meet new people and people from all over the world, and you know, that's that's so much fun to do that. But it's also fun to meet the performers and the people that are actually flying the
Yeah.
aircraft, whether the military side or the civilian side. This one, just happened to be the civilian side, and it's just, I mean, it was an honor to be able to have that opportunity, that experience. And if I wasn't an aircraft spotter, that opportunity would have never presented itself. So,
Absolutely.
so I love the whole aviation spotter community and what it's all about, and the opportunities that it's given me. I mean, gosh, I literally have so many different stories like that, and just people I've known, and me. Okay, so I'm 43 years old. Okay, so I've got a lot of years on you, man. You're just a little young
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and when I've been doing this since I was, technically since I was a teenager. I mean, when I was a kid, I was always into it too, but it really, there's been a lot of opportunities along those years, and it's so much fun. And any spotter that's listening, and I mean, even yourself, Colin. I mean, there's so many cool opportunities that y'all get to look forward to being involved in what you're doing. That it's exciting.
Absolutely agree, dude. Because I agree with that so much, and I can attest to that because last year I got to go up in an Emirati C-17,
Sweet. There you go.
and
See?
I was a part of an airdrop,
Yeah.
the first ever airdrop out of an Emirati C-17,
Hell yeah. See? I mean, those
and
opportunities.
it was probably one of that's top 5 life experiences right there. But
Yeah.
I agree. It's like just that's what you got to do is just have the passion, and it will pay off. It
Hmm.
really will pay off.
Yeah. It really does.
But yeah. But anyway, man, let's start wrapping this up. That's a great lead in to. You have any tips or words of encouragement for the spotter or the listener out there?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, we're all spotting because we all love aviation. We all love aircraft, and that's
Yep.
what our passion is. You might have just as much passion, with photography, and it just kind of all meshed together. Because I mean, when I started out shooting stills, I was doing so much like sports. I was into shooting sports, but then I was like, wait a second, I love airplanes, and I'm a sports photographer. I love shooting sports. So it was like, boom, that's when I became a spotter. And it's where I'm kind of going with that is, you know, keep your passion alive. Don't listen to haters. I know it's so funny on Instagram, man. You get all these people that are, posting their stories like, hey man, if you don't like my stuff, then don't say anything or screw you. It's just like, come on, man. Don't even give
Yeah.
anybody the time of day. I mean, just enjoy what you're doing. One thing I think that's really important though for the aviation spotter community is it's so important to really develop people skills, especially for these young spotters, because there's a lot of young spotters that I'm sure that listen and follow all of us on Instagram. Some um,
Yeah.
and learn some people skills. Learn how to communicate, learn how to be honest with people, and learn how to I guess what I'm trying to say is don't just think it's all about you. It's about everybody, and you got to be able to communicate that with people, and invite people to go along the journey with you, so to speak. That's what's so cool
Yeah.
about Nelson Red Flag. But it is about the people. One of the best ways that I found as I was growing up, and that I've been, part of the aviation, industry and community for so many decades, is go work at an airport, man. Go work at an FBO. Go work for an airline. Go work the ramp or something. I mean, you learn so much about aviation, and you learn so much about yourself, and you literally deal with all kinds of people in all walks of life. I mean, anybody and everybody. And so you learn how to how to communicate with people and how to work
Yeah,
with people. And that's always important. I always thought, because what's the fun of just doing this just for yourself? I mean,
absolutely.
um, and obviously, like you've said on previous episodes of your podcast, do do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody specific to to get the accolades or whatever. But at the same time, on the other side of that, that token is yeah, do it for everybody as a whole. Because I mean, that's why you're posting a photo, because
Exactly,
you
yeah.
want everybody to experience that with you.
Yeah.
But and I'd say the other advice that I would give to people, and listening to your episodes that you've already uploaded, and just conversations that I have with certain followers on Instagram, is about camera settings. And I can't stress this enough, is you need to play around with the settings and learn your camera and learn what it means if you are shooting at 5.6 aperture and you're at 800 ISO, and your shutter speed's at 2000. Like, learn what that looks like so that you can adjust and know what to do. um,
Yeah.
it's so important to do that. So many spotters, especially new spotters. I'm not really talking about spotters, that have been doing it for years and whatever, but
Hmm.
they, they're so caught up on camera settings, and and they wonder why some of their results might not be what they really want. And you got to play around with those settings, and you can learn those things. You don't even have to be at an airport to learn that. You could go photograph cars driving down the road and learn
Yeah.
about your autofocus system, or learn about auto ISO or whatever. But anyway, I know that was kind of long tangent on that, but that's basically it. I mean, it's a cool, tight knit community, and it's fun being a part of.
It is. I agree with you. It is a great community to be part of. And for those looking for camera settings, make sure to go check out my episode 6. I discussed all camera settings and setup with John Wynn.
Yeah, and
And go
he's from
check that
Utah,
episode out.
isn't he?
Yeah, he works with the Utah Air
Yeah,
Guard.
yeah, he's in Salt Lake
He
City. That was cool.
yeah, he used to be up here with the 124, so that's how I got to know him.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you guys go check that episode out. And so, real fast, where can we find your work? We already discussed Ramp Check,
Yeah.
so we already know that. But where can we find like your other your pictures and photos of the L1011s and you dumping the lab of the AN225?
So most of my aviation stuff is all at Ramp Check Global. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that. But my personal Instagram, at Aaron Rumfallo, I do have some aviation stuff on there, but really, you really should follow Ramp Check Global, because that's where I basically post all my aviation. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's most of my personal, it's just family and
Yeah,
vacations, and and you name it. But yeah, it's at Ramcheck Global.
absolutely. And I do agree. If you guys haven't listened to the podcast, please go and check it out. You'll enjoy it. But anyway, Aaron, I appreciate you coming on. That was an awesome discussion we had over the past hour. And but like always, guys, this is the part of the show where I always say my traditional things is if you know somebody who thinks they should come talk aviation with me here on the Aviation Spotters podcast, send me a DM on Instagram at BOI Spotter, Twitter at BOI Spotter. Go give us a like and a subscribe on the Facebook page, Aviation Spotters Podcast, and you can send me a message there as well. I'm still setting up the YouTube page. We'll hopefully get that all set up very soon. And also send me an email at avspotterspodcast at gmail.com for those profiles and all that other good stuff. Aaron, anything else to add, man?
Hey man, I appreciate this opportunity again. I love what you're doing with the Aviation Spotters podcast. It was great to meet you in 2019. It's cool to be talking here, on in 2020, and Yeah, I appreciate it, man, and continue the good work. Yeah, I love what you're doing, and yeah, hope to chat again soon.
Absolutely, man. Well, one thing we didn't mention is at Hill Air Force Base, there is an absolutely amazing air museum down there. And if anybody's in the Salt Lake City area visiting, definitely go check out that museum. I hopefully will be down there by year's end, so we could hopefully all meet up down
Awesome.
there.
Absolutely, and it has the only SR-71C model that was ever built. It was actually
Oh, yeah,
built
that's right.
with a couple different airframes, an A-12 and an SR-71. So it's pretty unique.
It is. Yeah, I went down there. I remember my going down there as a young kid, but yeah, man, definitely. I'll hit you guys up if I head down
Yeah.
there. But that's gonna do it for me here. And as always, keep those batteries charged and those cameras ready. And we'll catch you next time here on another episode of the Aviation Spotters podcast.